thought what I would do today is kind of share this process. I belong to a local real estate mastermind that was created by a doctor, and it was actually really smart of him. He wanted to get involved in real estate investing, and he thought, you know what better way to learn than create a mastermind full of real estate investors. He was a full-time doctor, but wanted to start diving into buying investment properties, flipping houses, all of that good stuff. So he invited a bunch of different full-time, real estate investors that basically make their living and do this on a regular daily basis. He invited a lot of these real estate investors into this mastermind, myself being one of them. And we meet every month and we talk about, what we're all doing and, if we have any kind of hiccups. And then, of course, we've got a bunch of people that may have already had that hiccup before experience, and then we can share and mastermind and basically help each other keep growing. It's so extremely important and so extremely helpful. Whatever industry you might be pursuing and whatever goals you might have, if you can create a mastermind of people that basically have success in that industry already, just like this doctor did, you can learn from people that are way ahead of you in what you're trying to accomplish. So there are people that own self-storages in this mastermind. There are people that own strip malls in this mastermind. There are people that develop single-family houses. There are people that develop big apartment buildings. There are people that just fix and flip houses. There are people that will what they call wholesale houses. There will be people in this mastermind that are expert landlords. So there's an array of all these different investors in this mastermind that all have a different experience, and when we all get together and chat, it's extremely, extremely helpful. There's some in there that are lenders, they loan money, so it's phenomenal to get together with all these minds because it basically helps you grow. Now, the reason I'm sharing all of that is because December, we meet, off the top of my head, I think it's the first Thursday of every month. It's automatically programmed in my phone, so I just know when to show up. But I believe it's the first Thursday of every month. So when we met this month already, what we basically did is talked about, through the mastermind, what everybody's goals are. And one thing that's nice about doing that is it kind of now holds you accountable, because all these other different individuals now know what your goal for 2020 is. And so, in January, February, March, when those months roll around, 2020, they can follow up with you and say, hey, how are your goals going? And if you haven't done anything, then it's kind of an embarrassing conversation to say, well, I'm completely dropping the ball. I haven't even done anything. First quarter's done and I haven't started, right? So accountability is also another important piece to achieving your goals, and that's the nice thing about this mastermind is we have that accountability amongst each other, but also the help of everybody's mind. So we went through one by one and kind of discussed all of our goals, which is extremely powerful because it kind of pushes you also to grow. You hear, the guy next to you who owns a strip mall having a goal to own another strip mall, and it might create a bit of subconscious competition in your mind, which is always good. When you want to reach your peak at something you're doing, typically a competitive atmosphere helps you reach that peak versus a non-competitive atmosphere. If you go out and play basketball in your driveway by yourself, you're less likely to play as hard than if you're actually playing in a competitive game, if that makes sense. So being in this atmosphere creates competition, it creates accountability, and it also gives you the access to all these minds. So, super important if you're going to try and crush a goal out there is to kind of get surrounded by these individuals. Now, at the end of every year, I also do a goal-setting dinner with a few of my friends, and actually that's what we're doing tomorrow, believe it or not, ironically. So there's an attorney who's a real estate attorney. He's a real estate investor. He comes. We have a land developer who's part of this dinner. We have an apartment building owner, apartment building developer and owner, and myself. The five of us meet every year. We have consistently done this for the last 6 years, where we go out Typically it's for sushi. We go out for a sushi dinner in December and we discuss our goals on a more intimate setting. It's not really quite the mastermind setting, but it's more of an intimate dinner setting, smaller group of guys. And we share with one another all of our goals. We ask each other how did it go over the last year, because we had this same dinner and conversation last year. And we basically can share where we excelled throughout the year and where we had our struggles. And the nice thing about that is every year we get better and better at hitting our goals. But one thing we all have in common amongst all the guys in the mastermind, amongst these guys, this separate group of guys that I go to dinner with once a year, is that we have a plan. It's a plan. It's a map, basically, to reach your goal, right? It's one thing to say, I want to buy a 10-plex. And have that as your goal in your head. But if you have no roadmap on how you're going to buy a 10-plex, you don't know how you're going to find the financing, you don't know if you're going to have to raise money, you don't know if you qualify for a loan, you don't know if you're going to have to go get investors, you don't know what neighborhood the 10-plex would even be good to buy in based off of the rental income that will come in, based off of your mortgage payment that you'll have to make every month, and maybe your negative $3,000 a month in cash flow, which would be horrible, versus positive cash flow. If you don't know all these steps, then just having the goal of buying a 10-plex is going to be probably something that you'll procrastinate and not ever accomplish anytime soon. You'll just kind of play it by ear. They say if you play it by ear, it probably will never happen. Unless you set it and play it by a plan, then most likely you're going to struggle achieving that goal.